councils as he chairs the first decentralization board meeting for 2021. The paradox of plenty hits Cameroon's seaside city Crtv as it comes under the grip of a fish scarcity, though a city buried in the belly of the Atlantic Ocean with plenty of fish, but none for the fisherman. Cameroon and Angola clash in the high-stake final tomorrow of the Continental Women Handball Cup that the Lionesses are poised to grab for the very first time and make history for themselves and for the country. Those are our lead stories. Hello and thanks for joining us. I am Ben Menopufong and this is the 7:30 News.
I urge you once again to put on your face masks, to wash your hands regularly, and to consult a physician or any other health personnel if you notice any symptoms. This is the only way to save lives and to curb the spread of the virus.
Thanks for joining us. The ongoing decentralization process in Cameroon came under scrutiny in Yaoundé today, with the National Decentralization Board assessing the progress made and the difficulties encountered in the setting up of the regional councils in the country. Prime Minister Joseph Diangute, who chaired the deliberations, entreated decentralization stakeholders to intensify efforts to ease the functioning of the regional councils. As Star Building correspondent Christian Cheatam reports, the Decentralization Board was meeting in its first ordinary session for 2021.
The main point of interest during this first session of the National Decentralization Board for 2021 was to examine the effectiveness of measures taken to ensure the smooth implantation of regional councils across Cameroon. Members noted that a lot has been accomplished concerning the physical implantation of regional councils, as well as the preparation of texts for the transfer of competencies.
We wanted to see if the executives were installed, and that was the case. The question of competencies is well addressed, and we are finalizing the text. The question of human resources is also well addressed. The text concerning the local public service will soon be published. For us, things are quite good.
The session equally looked at financial efforts to enable regional councils function smoothly.
9 of 10 of the regional executives had already adopted their budget. So it was acted that the budgets were for the installation and for the maturation of the reflection, so that next year the real work can start.
While closing the session, Prime Minister Joseph Diangute, chairperson of the National Decentralization Board, invited all stakeholders in Cameroon's decentralization drive to intensify efforts which will make regional councils function fully.
The National Decentralization Board meeting is coming at a time when the regional councils in the country are still struggling to get their feet on the ground. For one thing, they lack the requisite means and infrastructure with which to establish themselves, and for the other, they are still in the weight of the effective transfer of powers from the center to the periphery as contained in the Decentralization Code. Ebenezer Akanga reports on where the regional councils are in their struggles to stand on their own.
It is 6 months now since regional councils and regional assemblies were effectively set up in Cameroon. The decentralized territorial collectivities have held their budgetary sessions and voted their first budgets, which will enable them to start work. Regional councils and regional assemblies have competencies which are transferred to them by the law, but these are still on paper.
The law has effectively transferred all the competencies to regions, but the regions can only exercise them on the basis of a roadmap, which is the totality of texts guiding the transfer of competencies to the regions.
While waiting for the decrees that will make concrete the transfer of competencies, the regional councils and regional assemblies are not idling.
Things are moving. At the moment, regional councils are busy preparing their regional development plans.
To officials of the Ministry of Decentralization and Local Development, the transfer of competencies is a process that is well on course.
On to other thing now, the Douala 3 municipality will soon be endowed with a new neighborhood to be constructed on 500 hectares piece of land in Bouang-Bakoko to help check anarchical construction in the city. The project, initiated by an individual and to be executed by the National Civil Engineering Equipment Pool, Matjeni, was officially launched in Douala this Thursday in the presence of enthusiastic local authorities and officials of the Ministry of Urban Development and Housing. Larry's Nane Potter reports from CRTV Littoral.
The project conceived over a decade ago will soon come to realization as the various stakeholders have purchased the parcel of land and all equipment needed to make Bouang-Bakoko a modern layout in Douala, an innovative project with proven economic benefits which will equally breathe new life into decent housing for thousands of Cameroonians.
All the structure comprising a modern estate will be built. We will have low-cost houses and houses of high and moderate standards with all other amenities.
The first phase of the project, planned to last for a year, will be executed by the National Civil Engineering Equipment Pool, Matjeni.
We will do a general drainage so that water can flow without causing erosion.
The government is closely monitoring the project with possibility of supporting it with developmental projects like schools, health units, among others. The new city of Bouang-Bakoko will be built on 531 hectares of land with the possibility of increasing it to 631 hectares by integrating the community of Nyangsoki.
The June session of performance evaluation in the Ministry of Finance has taken place, with officials and staff manning key services in the ministry assessing the plan of action outlined by Minister Louis-Paul Motaze midway into the year. The session was chaired by the Director of Budget in the ministry, Cyril Edualo. Beatrice Ngum reports.
Come from different departments of the Ministry of Finance with a common objective to evaluate the performance of their different roadmaps as per the recommendations of the Minister of Finance. A monthly exercise introduced since the new fiscal reform went operational.
Each month we work together with all the various actors so that when we will evaluate at the end of the year, we can be sure that we achieve all we have been planning.
The dialogue among management is holding at a time when some staff of the ministry have received congratulatory letters from hierarchy, while others have been decorated for their services to fatherland.
We want to celebrate all of us together so that we thank the hierarchy and congratulate collaborators who have been receiving the distinction.
Congratulatory messages that will certainly inspire others to work better and merit management confidence next time.
Cameroon today engaged in a belated commemoration of World Meteorology Day, organizing activities geared towards creating awareness of the important role measurement plays in the well-being of the society. Activities of the day that is celebrated on May 20 every year included workshops and exposés on the need to use right measurements and improve on the health care. As Clarice Harry Takang reports, World Meteorology Day 2021 is running under the slogan, Measurements for Health.
Measurement is used in a wide range of fields for various reasons. Understanding its influence on human life, health, and well-being is essential. It is the raison d'être behind workshops and exposés organized to mark this year's World Meteorology Day. Meteorology in a medical laboratory and the sanitary control of medicine and products were also discussed.
La santé est fondamentale, notamment pour votre bien-être au quotidien.
Health is fundamental for daily well-being. It is not only about treatment. Public health is sensitive. All the different aspects which are taken into consideration, such as height, weight, and blood pressure, have a defining role to play in treatment. Wrong parameters will lead to wrong diagnosis. Metrology is important and also help improve PP gear for COVID-19 treatment. In supermarkets and other spaces, metrology is used to determine if a product is healthy or not as regards temperature.
Scientists affirm that COVID-19 has highlighted the need for more accuracy in measurement of equipment and treatment, a fact the 2021 World Meteorology Day is raising awareness on.
Our Thursday regional package tonight takes us to the seaside resort of Crtv to live the paradox of living in plenty yet dying of hunger. The city is currently hit by an unprecedented scarcity of fresh fish and skyrocketing prices of the few quantity available on the market. Though regional officials of fisheries are assuring that fresh fish will soon be back, they are nonetheless attributing the current scarcity to the impact of climate change and sea pollution. Cyril Nwazeke reports on the fish situation in Crtv.
If you happen to visit Crtv in the South region any of these days and wish to put fresh fish on your table, then you have to pay the price. The copiousness witnessed some months back is no more. The seafood is now rare.
The current climatic conditions are not quite favorable. The rains are not so good for fishing. This is the bad season. That's why it is scarce.
The scarceness is attributed to the dead season, absence of serious rains. A kilogram of fish that previously sold at 2,500 francs has risen to more than 5,000 francs, depending on the species.
It's not easy to buy fish now because the price is so expensive. In the past, the kilogram, you can buy it at 2,500.
Other reasons like the change in climate, poor fishing methods, and sea pollution are said to be causes of the acute scarcity. As the next fishing months will be dicey, officials of the Divisional Delegation of Fisheries and Fishermen nonetheless claim there will be enough fish in the months of August to October.
Chain production, the multiplication of fish ponds, and modern practices have been identified as way out to the teething situation of the scarcity of fresh fish in the South region. Experts say funding made available to fish farmers will enable them turn the tables in a region that is endowed with natural resources that favor fish production. Clarence Hazer reports that in the face of the current scarcity, freshwater fishing may help reverse the trend.
Freshwater fish is relished by inhabitants of the south and beyond, and the region is undoubtedly one of the regions in the country whose natural climate and water bodies favor aquaculture. The south region is quite unique with many water bodies and swamps, which makes it easy to create fish ponds. The region today counts over 500 registered fish farmers. To add to this endowment is a population that is increasingly demonstrating its interest for fish farming. Fishing is first of all a passion and equally a source of revenue for me. This pond alone can produce at least 3.5 tons annually. There are 9 others in the village. The efforts of farmers are constantly hampered by a number of challenges, reason for the scarcity of freshwater fish in markets in the region. The main limitation to fish farming today is access to bank loans. Most bank rates are too high. The envisaged solutions to the problem of fish scarcity include chain production, the multiplication of ponds, and modern fishing farming techniques. These, together with government support and access to bank loans, the farmers say will make fish to be available in quantity at all times.
Some households in the Adamawa region whose income dwindled because of the COVID-19 pandemic have started receiving financial assistance from some of Cameroon's development partners. The World Bank-sponsored Safety Net project was out in the region distributing financial assistance to help improve on the living standards of the population as they struggle to cope with COVID-19-induced hardship. From Gaundere, Amos Enonyaket Agbo reports.
The COVID-19 pandemic rendered some families poorer in the Adamawa region as they could not continue with their income-generating activities. The Cameroon government, through the Safety Net project, carefully selected these needy families and decided to come to their rescue.
The government allocated 16 billion CFA francs to the Safety Net project in order to help the poor family that they have been affected by the COVID-19. For this COVID-19 emergency cash transfer program, each beneficiary will receive 180,000 CFA francs, 3 payments. The first payment they will receive 45,000. The second payment they will receive also 44,000. The last payment they will receive 90,000 CFA francs.
The COVID-19 emergency cash transfer program is just one of the many projects aimed at improving the well-being of those with lesser purchasing power. Experts of the Safety Net project used their presence in the Adamawa region to train stakeholders involved in the Cash for Work program.
And you're watching the 7:30 news on the Cameroon radio television, the CRTV, as we beam live from Yaoundé. Insurance issues and social security were under scrutiny at the National Assembly today as members of the Committee on Cultural, Social and Family Affairs quizzed the Minister of Labour and Social Security, Gregoire Ouona, on Cameroon's social security policy, a quizzing that ran parallel with the Parliamentary Network for the Promotion of Insurance and Banking Services that was exchanging with the Association of Insurance Companies on insurance policies that benefit those who subscribe for them. Esther Kmer has a roundup of activities at the National Assembly today.
Developing and implementing the social security policy and monitoring the enforcement of the Labour Code is government's daily strive. Although workers' insecurity persists, Minister Gregoire Ouona assured that the declarative insurance system has led to the insuring of some 1,060,000 persons under the compulsory scheme, with the voluntary insurance counting barely 154,000 persons since 2014.
When you are employing yourself, you can register yourself. When you have contributed for 15 years, you retire, you will recover all the money you have paid.
The non-payment of social benefits by some companies, raised by Honorable Duvawisa Ayisa, and the irrational use of temporal workers by some state corporations decried are aspects government promises to investigate. Preoccupied by the irregularities in the book sector, the Committee on Education is brainstorming on plausible solutions.
They are talking about the corruption in the National Book Commission. The stakeholders, that is the publishers, the teachers' syndicates, and the booksellers are not happy.
Meantime, the Network on the Promotion of Insurance, led by Honorable Benit Germany, exchanged on the benefits of insurance with members of the National Association of Insurance Companies.
We are there to contribute to promote insurance and bank in Cameroon, the increasing of the performance of assurance in our economy.
Besides managing cash flow uncertainties, the delayed payments for covered losses were discussed and remedies sought.
The campaign to train all the personnel of the Ministry of Public Service and Administrative Reform on first aid will soon begin nationwide. An agreement to that effect has been reached in Yaoundé between the Ministry of the Public Service and Administrative Reform and the Cameroon Red Cross. Emmanuela Vermeuil reports that the training is in line with the law of 2000 bordering on the protection of civil servants at workplace. Emmanuela?
Reaching out to someone in need of first aid is a life-saving gesture which the Ministry of Public Service and Administrative Reform wants to imbibe in all its personnel nationwide. A vast training campaign in first aid is what this agreement reached between the ministry and the Cameroon Red Cross envisages.
To know how to react, what to do, and what kind of message we can pass so that everybody should be saved. It's a very, very important tournament in the life of our administration, and we hope other administrations should follow.
The incident of August 17, 2020, where a false alert of a bomb caused panic at the 8th floor ministerial building, also motivated this training. Officials of the Cameroon Red Cross say their intention is to ensure that every family in Cameroon has a first aid giver, targeting therefore 5 million Cameroonians, way below the current 65,000 already trained. The staff of the Ministry of Public Service in the 10 regions will thus benefit from this knowledge on how to offer emergency health care when and wherever need be.
Despite our efforts, COVID-19 plunged many families into mourning and seriously hampered the functioning of society.
And now on to this good news from the Public Health Emergency Operations Center here in Yaoundé, where the public health officials are saying the number of people in hospitals for coronavirus has witnessed a significant drop these past months. The population is, however, being cautioned to remain vigilant and not to relent in upholding the barrier measures. Gilbert Ngongene is now hooked up with us out there at the Public Health Operations Emergency Operations Center. Hello, Gilbert. What's new?
Good evening, Ben Meno Pufong, televiewers. Welcome to the Public Health Emergency Operations Center. Today we are talking about the number of people who are hospitalized in hospitals across the national territory. Public health officials here at the Public Health Emergency Operations Center say the number of patients in hospitals have decreased drastically from 200 cases some 2 months ago. Today you find 6 patients in hospitals across the country, and there are some hospitals in the country where you find as little as 2 patients in hospitals hospitalized for the coronavirus pandemic. Officials here explain that Cameroonians ought to be given a pat on the back for their vigilance and responsible behavior that has led to this drastic drop. Now, they however caution that Cameroonians ought to be extra vigilant, because if they don't keep on respecting the barrier measures and take their vaccines, the resurgence of the coronavirus can be witnessed anytime soon in Cameroon. We are also told here that there are 6 persons who are on oxygen in some hospitals in the country. Health officials here say this is a clear indication that the coronavirus is far from being eradicated completely from Cameroon. Reason why Cameroonians ought to stay extra vigilant and be careful. So to sum it up, Ben Meno Pufong, Cameroonians ought to keep watch, for the coronavirus is still very real. The number of cases have decreased, but they are not at the 0 level that we expect. Back to you, studio.
Thank you very much, Gilbert, for those updates and warnings. Cameroonians should remain vigilant despite the good news. And so Agriculture and Rural Development Minister Gabriel Mbairobe today inaugurated the head office of the Agricultural Infrastructure and Value Chain Development Project in Boya. By the end of the first phase of the project in 2023, some 10,000 jobs are expected to have been created, with about 200 kilometers of farm-to-market roads rehabilitated across the southwest region. Henry McCauley is in Boya.
The main reason for the minister's visit to Buea was to inaugurate the head office of the Agricultural Infrastructure and Value Chain Development Project. The new building plus a rehabilitated German building plus the fence cost the state some 340 million CFA francs.
This project contributes to increase the productivity in agriculture activity, to create jobs for women and youth, to construct a road from farm to market, and contribute to construct some warehouses, supply water, ships, and something like this.
After inaugurating the building in the presence of the general manager of Soweda and project coordinator of AIVDP, Dr. Bisong Ogokuntui, the minister later on went to preside over the third steering committee meeting of the AIVDP project. The Agricultural Infrastructure and Value Chain Development Project, created in 2016, has a budget of 39.3 billion CFA francs. In its phase 1, it is expected to create some 10,000 jobs, rehabilitate over 200 kilometers of farm-to-market roads, construct health centers, industrial units for palm oil and cocoa, amongst other things.
Orange Cameroon has launched the second phase of its digital platform, Orange Pulse, which seeks to help young people develop skills in technology. The platform was presented to the public at a press conference in Yaoundé by the company's top executive. Irene Manti-Ayonga reports from CRTV Center.
Orange Cameroon has set up the Pulse program, a real platform whose content is enriched day after day and whose ambition is to support young people through their digital life. More than a platform, Orange Pulse is the largest community of young people in Cameroon, with more than 1 million youths registered to date to discover their common passions. The relationship between Orange Cameroon and the student body is intended to be sold. It is a fairy tale that is unfolding against the backdrop of several sets, one of them being the operation Orange Pulse Meets, which is a noble initiative that fits in all points with the values of sharing innovation and dynamism so dear to the company and to the Orange brand. Orange Pulse platform has been existing for 4 years and responds to the different needs of the youth, especially university students, and provides them an educative content to assist them in their studies. Within the framework of Orange Pulse platform, Orange Cameroon has put in place a series of trainings and coaching sessions in the different state universities, which will provide them support from Orange experts to better prepare them for the job market.
What you provide to the youth today is just a universe where they will be able to learn new things and have better skills in order to better enter the work of the job.
Another platform presented was the Orange Digital Concept, which is aimed at accompanying the Cameroonian youth in digital know-how. The manager of the center, Emmanuel Tia, explains that the youth can only be at the forefront of socio-economic development of the country if they master the digital program well. Orange Cameroon intends to provide the youth the means to acquire digital competencies, develop skills, and encourage job creation. The projects were presented to the public in the presence of the Chief Executive Officer of Orange Cameroon, Frederic Debord, and of the representative of the Minister of Youth Affairs and Civic Education.
Now, news out of Cameroon. Former Ivorian President Laurent Gbagbo has flown back home to Abidjan nearly a decade after he was ousted from power and sent to The Hague to face war crime charges. The 76-year-old landed in Abidjan this evening on board a commercial flight from Brussels amidst a cheering crowd of supporters who had trooped into the airport to welcome him back home. Constantine Baum reports on the long-awaited homecoming.
Today, June 17, 2021, shall remain a memorable day in the history of Ivory Coast as the former President Laurent Gbagbo, after 10 years, returned to his country after ICC acquittal. A day long awaited by his family, friends, and party members. But many did not believe in Gbagbo's return until they will see him on Ivorian soil. Reason why his followers had been monitoring and keeping a close eye until videos of him boarding the plane for Ivory Coast cleared all doubts. His relatives prepared to welcome him back to his village of Mama in west central Ivory Coast. He was born in Mama, 360 kilometers from Abidjan, where even women mobilized for the great reception, coming in T-shirts on clean streets. After 10 years in exile, the former head of state returns home, an episode seen by many of his supporters as historic and grandiose. Laurent Gbagbo has been living in Belgian capital Brussels since his release from detention 3 years ago. He was the first former head of state to go on trial at the ICC, but was acquitted of all charges. The hope is that it will help reconcile the country and shift the government's attention to the spillover of the Islamic insurgency.
Now sports. Cameroon and Angola clash tomorrow in the final of the 24th edition of the Senior Women's Handball African Cup of Nations that has been running in Yaoundé for the past 1 week. Cameroon will be seeking to dethrone the 13th-time winner and reigning champions Angola to grab the trophy for the very first time, a feat which handball coaches and former players say is tenable depending on the technical, tactical and psychological strategy that the coach will adopt for the encounter. Gilbert Ongene reports on what it will take to break the Angolan myth tomorrow.
The winning formula against Angola, bookmakers say, is a combination of teamwork, discipline and a knack to concretize all available opportunities.
Looking for the technical, tactical, offensive programming, they have to put their program in such a way that every fast break should be inside. They have to score all their balls.
This is the final. There will be no other match, so our girls have to give their all in this match.
Former handballers opine that some tactical errors must be corrected in some compartments of the Cameroon side.
The girls have a problem up front. They have this tendency to be in a haste at the level of the attack. This should be looked into.
For us to beat Angola, we must be very disciplined and committed in our game. And above all, we should play as a team, assisting each other.
Although Angola are tipped favorite, handball lionesses will inevitably want to create an upset against this opponent, having lost to them in 2004 at this stage of the tournament in Egypt.
That does it for the 7:30 news for tonight and for the week. Thanks for watching. Let's do it all over again on Monday. Bye-bye.
I urge you once again to put on your face masks, to wash your hands regularly, and to consult a physician or any other health personnel if you notice any symptoms. This is the only way to save lives and to curb the spread of the virus.